All right, we're pleased to have our non-Great Lenten lecture series continue. Bill Edwards is going to talk to us about Matthew 25 and some of the efforts that are going on in the parish. We'll ask you to be attentive. We're videotaping it, so we'll post it on our YouTube page for those who can't be here. But without further ado, let me hand it over to Bill.
Hello, can you hear me? Is that working? AKA Marina's husband.
Leo, we know you. Come on.
Okay, well, let's get started. Let's see this. So, Father Gregory every Sunday says that you want to talk about Matthew 25, talk to Bill. Okay? So it brings up the question, you know, it's not just one thing or one person, it's many things and many people doing a lot of good work. There are the ODO lunches in Detroit, and Daria Perzhenko now heads that up. But there's also the food gatherers that Mitya and Alexa do. And they collect food for poor. There's also Dollar Donation Day, which is funds that go to the Shelter Association of Washtenaw County, SAWC, which is located in the Delana Center on Washtenaw Avenue, just west of Main Street by the railroad tracks. And no, that's not Thaddeus in the picture. That happens to be Z. Johnson, who works there. The donations there typically take on the form of underwear, hygiene kits, maybe sleeping bags, might be backpacks. It just depends upon the day and what they need. And then Alpha House, headed up by Addie Lauderman. It turns out Z. Johnson also works there. And you know, a host of people help out with this. I won't even try to remember everyone's names. And then finally, the real topic for today is what's called To the Rescue. What is it? A lot of people may have heard of it. So what is To the Rescue? We have actually a web page. So it's just a loose collaboration of people in Detroit and our church who are helping out people who are in need. Brief history on it. It all got started when we first started doing lunches at St. Peter and Paul with, you see right there, Larissa Thornton. And then it evolved and it extended into cleaning their kitchen. And then from there, I met Laura Klein, and she asked me for help one day, and that's how it all got started off. Now, Laura does a lot of work in Detroit. She delivers food. She goes to court hearings for child custody. She lives near St. Peter and Paul, and so she knows all these people. And they come to her for help. So what is it we do? I mean, this isn't like food gatherers where it's an ongoing, perpetual thing. We give a fishing rod, not a fish. People who've kind of stumbled and fallen down, and we get them back going. So we've done things, we pay rent, we've paid utility bills on occasion, find jobs, apartments. What else have we done? We've furnished apartments for people who needed to move, deal in food. And finally, we've even gone as far as buying a car for somebody. Okay. Now, interestingly, because this isn't a sustaining effort, it happened, there are strange things. You know, someone has a house fire, their car keeps breaking down. The company goes out of business, you lose your job, or you have a bad spouse. And those things, they don't get scheduled, they just happen. They're arbitrary, and we never know what we're going to need anytime. You know, so one way to depict this is, I just tried to highlight when we had done events over the last 2 years. And you can see where the X's are, that's approximately when they happened. So from Thanksgiving through Christmas was very busy. We had 4 different things. I think that one was a car, 2 apartments. We burned through a lot of money. But then we can go for 5 or 6 months with nothing. You just can't predict it. So there are a whole bunch of things we aren't. We're not a 501c3, okay? Which means we cannot get money from large corporations. We can't go to Kroger or DTE. And so, but the flip side is we don't have a management team. We don't have to do paperwork. One of the things we don't have is a warehouse, so we can't take furniture on even. You know, you find a good deal or someone's donating it, can't do it. What we have is just a group of people that are helping on an as-needs basis. I think one of the best ways to illustrate this is the story of Darian. This was a year and a half ago. He was a dishwasher at a restaurant. COVID closed down his his restaurant, so he lost his job. He was getting out, but he didn't even have the means to move his furniture, so he's pretty much out on the street. And the group of us, there were numerous people involved. Laura, Sam, I don't even know Sam's last name. But found him a job and an apartment near the job because he doesn't have a car, so he can take mass transit or walk. We Spartanly furnished his apartment for him and paid 3 months rent. Now since then, that was a year and a half ago, everything's fine. So it was a one-time problem, we helped him out, and he actually now attends Holy Trinity Church. So the difference between this is, say, contributing to IOCC, you don't know who you're helping. You know you're helping someone, but we help people. I mean, these are people, they're like us. They've got friends, they've got families, they've got hopes, they've got dreams. But they don't tend to have a cash reserve, so when they have a big problem, they can't fix it. And that's what we've been doing. And so, you know, who are some of these people? There was Ashley and Terrence and their daughter. Their apartment, the landlord, there was a rented house. The sewage was backing up into the bathroom and he wouldn't clean it. So moved them out and got them a new place. It didn't have appliances, so we got them a refrigerator, a stove, and a washer and a dryer. And you have Carolyn. We got her moved to someplace better. The second floor of this house, if you look closely, you could see it was burned. The first floor where she was living, it had no electricity. This place is ready to be demolished. So we got her out of there. There's Christine and her daughters. The father was not good. Let's just put it that way. I don't know a lot of the details on the human interest side of this. I only know some of it. And then there was Kim and her 5 kids. She works at Amazon. She couldn't get to work because her car kept breaking down. So we got lucky and found a good deal on a Chrysler minivan. It came from Florida, no rust, low miles. And it was a good price. And then there was Willie, an extended family of 12. Second floor of their house burned. They lost all the furniture, the bedding, dressers, and everything. So we helped them out. You can see Thaddeus there in the background. But there are other people. There was Cordero. He had his kids sleeping on the floor. We helped Kendra out with rent. We helped Maria. We helped Jerry and Lisa, and on a DTE. So a lot of people. So in the last 3 years, we've done about 18 different projects. We've spent about $20,000. Okay, that's all coming from private donations. So here are some of the people who helped. Okay, on the right, the kids were helping. You can see kind of the Beverly Hillbillies truck back there. But Andre Rodzienko helped. Brendan, Michael Marsh. This is Sean. That's Laura Klein's husband. You can see the boys helped too. Nikolai and Misha, they helped. Thaddeus. So we don't have a lot of problems with manpower. That's pretty easy. Here's another crowd. You see Laura Klein right there. This was, I don't remember which one this one is. And last Pascha, we served a hot meal at Odio in Detroit. They'd been doing bagged lunches for over a year. And Mr. T. Fenn, who owns the Ginger Deli on South State Street, he donated and prepared all the food. And Brendan here runs what's the Washita County Food, I think it's called the Food Hub. It's on Whitmore Lake Road, very close to North Hill Church School. So they did all that. So what you're looking at is it's friends, it's neighbors, local businesses. Some people give donations, some people give discounts. So if I get a discount, I pay the full price effectively, but the discount goes into the charity bin. Like for Honest Hosiery, they give us great deals on wool socks. They're in North Carolina. Which one? Advanced Automotive. When we had that car service, they gave me $300 off having the car service, because you don't want to give someone a car that's a problem. You want to give them a solution. So there's a host of people doing this. American Freight is where I get beds. They always give me a discount. And some people give checks. So if you think about it, there are charities everywhere. If you do any research on this, they're at the national level, they're at the state, the city, the local level. What they don't address are these kind of problems I just described, where people are falling down. Habitat for Humanity is not going to help on that. Meals on Wheels might with food. So we can't solve everything, but we do what we can. So I'm about done. The question is, if you want to help, getting the word out on social media helps us raise funds. Okay, we have a web page, To the Rescue. You can post that in your social media. There's a GoFundMe now, and that links directly to a GoFundMe page. So if you're not familiar with GoFundMe, it's a web page that helps you set up charities. It's very hard to search that page. You get the news out by having it posted in other people's social media. And we've got business cards up here. I carry a couple in my wallet, so if I'm talking with someone, say, check it out. Because tell you what, if you don't go asking to get funding, you're not going to get anything. I guarantee that. And we print up brochures. So, like, I solicited my dentist, and I gave him this. He looked into it. He gave us one time $500. So we can do that. So we can make these printable or print them out if you're interested in doing these kind of things. So there's getting the word out in social media, but then there's also, you can help raise funds if you're interested. It requires telling the story and having a passion for this and asking people for money. And then you need to be armed with some information to give them. You can try to get discounts like I do, or the other one that I do, I put aside a little bit of money every month, $50, $100. So after 6 months, I've got a kitty. So when Laura calls me up and says, I need $300 for the rent, I tell her, just go pay it, I'll send you a check. I've worked with, Laura's great. She does a lot of good work. So that's the end of the presentation, but it's not the end of the work. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Before Bill gets a chance to run away, are there any questions?
Do you have one project now, or?
Well, we do. It was in the good news. Some of you people may know Alona, I think her name's Feller. She lives up in Lapeer County, and she's going through an ugly divorce.
She's got a little Alexandra who's 2 years old. He's constantly trying to get me.
But she's now living in a shelter. I guess, the divorce is in progress, and the husband is fundamentally financially divorced. So we're trying to raise money to get a car for her. So she has a leased car. It's from her husband's business, but it's going to go away sometime. So that's the current one.
I want to ask sisters, can we give money from Coolidge to this? That be okay with you? For the car?
How much?
Well, if you look at used car prices, you know what $5,000 buys you? A 12-year-old car with 250,000 miles on it. So that Chrysler minivan, I got lucky, 112,000 miles for $3,500. No rust. You search the different web pages, prices are flat. I mean, you go to autotrader.com or whichever one, cars.com or cargurus.com. They're all the same price. So once you get really lucky, you got to pay the market, the going market value.
Other questions for Bill? I can't really express how important it is that we, old people, as well as especially our children, see us working and fulfilling the Lord's command of Matthew 25. Sometimes we don't have the time to work. We can give money to help make sure that those things happen. But we can't ignore that we need to feed people who need food. We need to house people who need housing. We need to help people who need help. The Lord really blessed us here. We are living from a historical precedent, really in the richest country that's ever existed. And if we can help a little bit, that will help people who are in need a lot. So, Bill, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. So.